Hello again everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're in the LMP3 again and we're at Suzuka. As you can see, it's a tad wet out there. This is actually the first time I've driven this car in the wet and I have not had fun in practice, to put it lightly. I decided to start at the back just to take it easy. This was really just for my participation as I'm working on my LMP3 fixed standings. Just means I wanted to try and get some good points towards my overall standings, as I'm hoping to at least finish high in the Division 2 split I'm in. I'm going to be very careful on this start. It's wet, not overly wet, but the LMP3 just doesn't like it at all.
Okay, get ready.
And we're off, and straight away you can see the spray is not too bad. I could just about see the cars in front, and I can see a car going straight off to the left. Oh, that didn't take long at all. Now I've got to be careful here. That white line down the middle is very slippy. I keep to the right there, and everyone is just making it, and we slot in. So let's have a look back at what just happened there. See the car in front just squeezing, and the yellow car just has nowhere to go. Hopefully you can see here he goes straight across the track, and they avoid all the other LMP3s.
Guy ahead of us is Moto, car number 6.
Really got to be careful there. You can squeeze somewhere, but if they've got nowhere to go, they're unlikely to back out, and it's just going badly for everyone. So we're following this train of LMP3s now. It's a bit weird here. Normally, obviously, in a wet race, you're going to stay off the racing line because it's rubbered in and the slippery surface. But in this sort of conditions where it's wet but not too wet, you can sort of use the racing line, which is handy here at Suzuka because, like here,
you cut the track. Keep it nice and tight.
There's only one racing line and it is very slippy, but you can just about use it. So here, breaking off the racing line just to get the car stopped and try to turn in, though this time I go very deep.
Left side.
Because I'm off the line here, I can put the power down.
Clear left.
So now we're alongside car.
Left, clear left.
I'm going to sort of let him go ahead of us because I don't want to be fighting through this section. These two corners here are very tricky.
On your left.
He brakes a bit early, which catches me by surprise.
Keep it within
we
the
do
track
catch
limits.
him via netcode, unfortunately. And that off track there is very unforgiving, even just slipping a wheel slightly over the curbing and you can get the off track. I've really got to be careful there. Coming through 130R, you just normally lift off a bit in the LMP3, you'll take it, but the car in front brakes, which really puts it dangerous to me. Nice and easy through this chicane. At low speed it doesn't matter, but again gets a bit of a slide on the exit and we just about avoid him.
Still
now a side by side coming down the front straight.
Hold your line. Still there.
He's taking a gap, but I'm not sure if he's going to be avoiding that white line. Leaving plenty of space, but bang, he's into the side of us twice there.
Side. Clear right. You have
regathering,
right.
trying to go around the outside, and unfortunately it's netcode once again. So as we see here, he's braking on the inside and he catches that white line. It's so slippy, it just sends him wide. It's not his fault there really, he's not probably aware of how that works. You see here, unfortunately I catch him just with the front splitter on my car.
In turn 2, you think it might be Christian?
At the time I thought it was netcode, so I just continued on, but I did apologise to Christian after the race, after that one. So just settling in now, trying to practice and get in my wet lines, just trying to keep the speed up, but as you can see the LMP3 just does not like to turn whatsoever in these wet conditions, even with this full high downforce set, and I lose it here. Braking a bit too hard,
just cut the track,
and thankfully I'm able to gather it off, so it's nothing too catastrophic.
We'll get him back.
See, that's just how easy it is to lose the car in these conditions. I have shifted the brake bias to the rear more just to protect against lockups, but it means that if I brake a bit too hard, the rear of the car will just slide out underneath me. It's a real balancing act between having the car brake bias forward, which protects you against the rear coming out, but then you're more likely to lock the front, in these sort of conditions, or have the brake bias to the rear, so it's not going to lock up, but then you'll risk losing the rear. So it is a very fine balancing act. For now, we're generally going to be here at the pace of the two cars in front, so we're just going to try and follow them through and see what develops. I'll turn in a bit early there, just 'cause it's so difficult to see in the spray where my turning point is. So I'm normally looking just after that 50 board. You can hear fighting the traction control there, trying to get the power down.
P6.
The TC is a blessing and a curse in this car. It really can help in trying to not kill you coming out of coming out of corners, but it can just really not let you do anything. I missed my braking and just end up going wide there. Crossing the rubbered in line, it's very dangerous through those first two corners. You can easily go wide.
15 minutes left.
Thankfully this is only a 20-minute race, so I've just got to survive for this amount of time and see if I can make anything happen with the two cars in front of us. I'm going to be a bit more cautious this time after what happened on that last lap. I'm turning in a bit too early because I shouldn't be hitting that curb. And you can see that it's just like ice, the car just won't turn, but you just have to try and ride it through the corner until you get back onto some grip. There we go, just about gets it stopped this time. You can see motor goes wide in front of us, so we are slowly closing that gap up. More cautious, but you can see in front the blue car just gets a bit of a spin going. He's asked too much of his rear tyres, and that's a freebie for us. So you've really got to be careful in that section. If you're going a bit too hot, the rear will just slide out from behind, so it just doesn't have the grip. Dicey there. I missed my turn in and go early again. Thankfully it's the aero that saves me in that occasion.
Stay close, there might be a chance here. P5, you're looking really good. Come on, keep your focus.
Careful here to break off the rubber line and avoiding that white line, but you can see motor ahead of us has gone in a bit too hot and there's just no grip. There may be no rubber line out there, but the wet on the front tyres just completely removes all your ability to turn. So that's the second freebie now. All I've got to do is just try to not do as they've done and bring this car back safely. You can see here I'm struggling just to get the car to turn in and get that power down. I've got to really brake on the just a bit on and a bit off the rubber line turning into there, which means I have to do it a bit earlier and very carefully.
The car in front of us is now car number 5.
So things really didn't change too much, so we'll skip forward 2 laps, and as you can see motor's pretty much held on quite nicely behind us. And I've been finding that the track is just not drying up at all in these overcast conditions. There's no rain, but there's no temperature or clear skies, so as I start pushing a bit too much here I lose the rear, so I've got to use all that trick of putting the braking power on at the same time to stop me going too far off. That gives the position back to motor at this stage. That's not too bad of a loss considering that I gained his position by a freebie, so it seems only fair at this stage. I should finally get a good turn in there as well and start closing back up to Motor here.
The next car is Moto, car number 6. The gap to Moto ahead is now 1.3 seconds. P5.
You see ahead of Moto, the car in front, P3, has also had an incident on the last lap with a bit of a slide, but they're able to gather it up. That's bringing them slowly into our little fight here between myself and Moto. Car number 7 behind us unfortunately started dropping off, either from some damage they'd sustained or just through the difficulty in trying to wrangle the LMP3 through these conditions. Yeah, that traction control really stepping in there, just I'm trying to put too much power down for whilst it's trying to keep me on the straight there. Just look at how much steering lock I'm putting in there and the car's just going completely wide. You've got to give iRacing credit for their implementation of the rain. As many people have said, it's very true to real life, but it makes this such a challenge even in these light rain conditions.
It looks like Christian.
There were a lot of incidents in this race that I didn't see. Most of them were harmless, just as I did earlier. You lose the rear of the car and you've got to quickly gather it back up, but a few occasions into turn 2, technically, if you go wide there, it's very easy to collect the barrier and get steering damage. You'll see here that's me moving my brake bias forward as I felt I could get a bit more stability through the car by having it forward. Now we are reeling in P3 here just by either their mistakes or we're just being a bit more consistent with our pace around this track. So I'm hoping with the few laps we've got left we might be able to catch up to them and get at least a bit of a battle going for P3 here. I'm being cautious, but oh, Moto's gone off again. And unfortunately they're going to collect the wall there.
Turn 2. Looks like it's Moto.
And as I said, it's very easy to get steering damage there. So we'll have to see if they're able to keep up with us through this.
Car number 5.
So now it's all up to me to start catching up to P3 here, but as you look ahead they've gone off themselves.
P3 has binned it in Dunlop curve.
So it's really difficult through that corner and it looks like they might have just come across the rubbered line whilst trying to ask too much of the car. And it's the same for me coming through there. You can see I'm sliding and the traction control's kicking in, and then again here just so difficult to keep the car under control whilst you're making the corner, let alone have any sort of race pace.
That's half fuel. You've used half your fuel.
And if you're not paying attention, it is very difficult to see the rubbered in line. I mean, if you look closely, you can see that little dark patch there, and that is the rubbered in line, which I am actually following at the moment, but the aerodynamics of the LMP3 lets me do that. So I'm getting to the point now where I feel I can use some of that rubbered in line. Either the track might be drying slightly or I've got just enough temperature and the car is light enough now where I can start using it to try and gain some time. Very sketchy even getting the right turn in through 130R. Still being careful over these curbs as well.
There's an incident in turn 2. It looks like Maul.
Oh, might get lucky still before the end of the race.
The gap to Moto behind is now 2.5 seconds.
I'd be very happy
P3.
with them just getting
That was
P3 here.
2:12.80. That's 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
That'd be a nice little points haul for our championship here. Just because it works by having the highest split get the most points out of it, so P3 in this one will net us quite a bit if I'm right. Oh, sliding that tail, really wanting to step out there. Still feeling like I need to make sure I'm pushing though both, in case I might get a freebie ahead.
Dunlop curve.
Or Motor, who is still only 2.4 seconds behind us. So if we make a mistake, he could capitalise on that. And I know how good I am at making mistakes. See just how hard how much of a struggle it is to get the power down coming out of there now. Track conditions really didn't seem to change at all. And there we go, we've made it onto the last lap. I'm just going to keep holding this all together. See, I've
Last
got
lap, bring it on home. That
a
lap was
nice
at
gap to Motor behind
2:12.57.
us. I've still got to work at maintaining that. So slow going through that first two corners compared to in the dry where this car is absolutely amazing. Like you'll see later in the next video that should be out, just how good this car is in the dry around here in the Falcon Tyre series. So stay tuned for that one. Very careful around there, it's still so icy, just with the amount of water that must be pooling. Slide, but managed to get the car stopped and we're out of there. And just nail this, we should be safe for the rest of the lap. To wait so long to get the power down, not helped by my lead foot, but we're now on the back straight towards 130R, and this one's not really been too much of a problem, so I'm confident going into the final chicane. But again, I turn in too early and catch that inner curve, which nearly sends us around. Would have been a horrendous ending to what has been a very fun but very stressful race. And here we go across the line in P3.
We're on the podium. Good drive.
Finally breathe a big sigh of relief after that one. Well, hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time.